it's kind of interesting because I think after COVID and all of the issues around hybrid work now, I think there's a difference, but it's not like we've reinvented everything, but I think we've added a new layer of complexity to the whole effort of finding and qualifying talent and the expectations that employees have. And one of the main things I think that employers are shifting to now more than what they did before is they're looking for specific skills to help, fill that job gap, the talent gap. And so instead of just looking at what someone's previous resume was, now they're looking for specific skills to help them in their company. And the other thing that they're doing, I think that's really important now, is adaptability. If we didn't learn anything through COVID, it was that we need to be adaptable because and we're going to need to be, I think, going forward for a while, because this hasn't settled at all yet. I mean, are we going back to work? Are we not going back to work? Is there a combination of that? What are all of the issues around that? So adaptability for new employees or new hires is critical. There's also what I would call sort of an interconnectivity between these things, because I think what employers want mirrors to a certain degree what employees are expecting. And although perhaps the biggest shift with the employee looking for a job is this whole idea of work-life balance. I think as a result of COVID, people reevaluated what they were doing and how they were spending time and what their life looked like. And they found out that they actually kind of, let's say not everybody, but a lot of people found out they really liked spending more time with their family and having that flexibility and freedom that the remote work offered. Now, I think it's not going to be 100% one way or the other. I think our new environment will be a hybrid environment, but I think employees are really focused on having that freedom and flexibility that remote work offered, and at the same time wanting to go back and connect with people real time in person. So again, I think everything's in flux and moving. And right after COVID, everybody thought everybody's going to be working remotely forever, and that's just not going to be the case. It is going to be more hybrid. But I think as a result of the COVID experience, people now are reevaluating what is important to them and what they're really looking for at work. And so the employee today is flexibility is way high on the list. They want to have the ability to maybe come into the office part-time and work remotely part-time, because that gives them that freedom and flexibility that they feel they need. And this bit gets important for people who might have to be caregivers, people who have other issues around commuting, for example, can be just brutal for people in certain areas. And so they're just wanting to not have to be a slave to all of that. They're looking for something different. I think today's workers are looking for professional development. And one of the things that I think managers have to be very careful about, especially in the hybrid work environment or the remote work, if they have employees that are fully remote, is to create career paths and pay attention to that. So, onboarding, whether it's remote or in person, it isn't all that different. It just, again, I think you need to be very intentional about onboarding. And I think we got lazy as an industry when we think of onboarding. We assume people who had some experience could just come in and sit at their desk and they'd be up and running. And that just isn't the case. And that's probably less the case today. So as companies think about how they're going to onboard, I think there are best practices, and they include, first of all, communication is top. So communicate before the new employee comes in and is hired, and talk to them about what the company culture is and what the expectations are, and be very clear about what success looks like and what the job looks like and what's expected of them. I think mentoring is huge. To kind of give a plug to WAHVE, I think one of the things we found out about when we were placing WAHVEs at different firms around the country is that the WAHVEs they've done it. They're not on a career path, right? I mean, they just want to sort of give back, and they're really thrilled to be engaged and continue to contribute. And they became great mentors for new employees in an agency or a carrier, and help them along and share their knowledge over the last 25 years or whatever they've been working. So mentorship is huge in that side of it. Yeah, well, there is a challenge because there's a huge talent gap, and our industry is absolutely struggling with that. We've got a lot of people that have left the work in, our work environment, and taken a lot of knowledge with them, institutional knowledge. It's just gone, right? And in certain positions in our industry, even if we could find all of the people and hire them, we would still have more job openings than there are people. So it is a challenge, and companies now, to be successful in the talent war, so to speak, are going to have to really be creative and maybe step out of the box a little bit, using social media to find positions and use job boards and things like that, obviously. But I think, and I mentioned this previously, but I think one of the things that companies can do too is to focus more on skills rather than just jobs. So don't just look at what the position this person has been in forever. You might be able to step outside of our industry and find somebody that has the skills that job is going to require, and then they can learn more about the job. And I think that's a trend we're going to see a lot of paying more attention to a particular job skill rather than a job title when you're hiring somebody. Flexibility, again, key. I think that um, as we talked about, employees are looking for life work balance. They're looking for at least some sort of remote work, periodically anyway, or part-time. And so companies are going to have to be flexible when they think about those kinds of things, and look outside of traditional um, avenues for finding talent. So we've got companies like WAHVE that are out there, finding people that are wanting to pre-tire and can still fill in and be good team members and fill a talent need that a company may have. Let me explain WAHVE a little bit and our WAHVEs. Those are the people that we place with a carrier, for example, and they have at least 25 years work experience and 10 to 15 years in insurance experience. So great knowledge. And we've got every industry position except outside producers. So we have actuaries, and we have account managers, and we have claims people and underwriters. So all the positions that currently exist in the industry, people have come to us saying, I want to continue my career, but I want to dial it back a little bit, perhaps. Although interestingly enough, I think it's like 45% of our WAHVEs now are full-time. So they work a full-time position with a carrier or an agency. And what a carrier would do that's looking for a position, it would simply, they can reach out to us. They can go to our website, and we've got a link there that says hire talent and explains what that process is. But basically, they put in a very brief sort of initial contact information. We then reach out to that carrier or that person and ask them exactly what they're looking for. And we can be very, very specific. And they want somebody that's got this kind of experience with this line of business, whatever it happens to be. And we then go to our our reservoir of WAHVEs, our all of the WAHVEs that we have, and we find people that match, that have come in and say, this is what I want to do. And then we match the two. So we're sort of a match.com for the insurance industry. And it's very simple from that perspective. And then what we do, if we have, for example, let's say a carrier is looking for an underwriter, a commercial lines underwriter for trucking. And we might have 4 or 5 people that have got that experience, that are qualified. And then we would send several resumes to that carrier, and they would then could do an additional interview with those people to decide which person that they were interested in. I should also say that all of our WAHVEs are just because they've been in the industry that long doesn't mean they've stayed current. So we requalify, we test and qualify everybody to make sure that they've stayed current and still know what they're talking about when it comes to, whatever the position is. So that's essentially what we do. We have about 600 WAHVEs right now working across the industry. Like I said, it doesn't matter whether it's an agency, a wholesaler, an MGA, MGU, or an insurance carrier. We cover all of those.